নমস্কাৰ কথন অনুষ্ঠানলৈ আপোনালোকক আদৰণি জনাইছোঁ আজি কথনত মোৰ আমাৰ অতিথি হৈছে দেৱেন তেখেত এজন শান্তিৰ হকে কাম কৰা মানুহ কিন্তু তেওঁ যেহেতু অসমীয়া ক'ব নোৱাৰে আমি আমাৰ এই সাক্ষাৎকাৰটো তেওঁৰ লগত যেটো আলোচনা কৰিম সেই আলোচনাটো আমি ইংৰাজীতে কৰিব লাগিব So, Devin, I welcome you to this program called Cotton. And at the beginning of we are going to discuss this Manipur situation, the violence and the conflict-ridden situation in Manipur. But before I go to Manipur, I would like you to introduce yourself to our viewers. So now, actually, what is your specialization and how are you involved in the peace building process?
Okay, thank you for giving this opportunity and time for me to share my thought and understanding of the conflict situation that is happening in Manipur right now. What got me here to this studio is my becoming a convener of a recent peace initiative of the people of Manipur in the middle of this war-like situation. And a small initiative resulted into what is now known as Interfaith Forum for Peace and Harmony. It is a conglomeration of all the heads of different faith traditions and the spiritual communities in Manipur. Each of them, when they found themselves confronted with the very highly violent situation, each of them were finding it extremely helpless to do anything about it. So when we begin to connect with one another, we simply gel together and suddenly set together and this platform came into being. And this platform came into being on May 5th. After this whole incident began to unfold.
But just to give a little if we go to the background of this, so how you became involved in it? That means what brought you here means what was your background so far this peace building process is concerned.
Right.
So if you can tell us a little bit about that also.
See what is happening. If you just have a look at the nature of conflict that is taking place, nature of violence that is taking place right now in Manipur is something that is unprecedented. We have never experienced this level of violence and the intensity with which the society is getting torn apart. And so there is a background to it. Our effort to work with this serious division in the society with this platform called Interfaith Forum for Peace and Harmony is to provide a space for people to reconnect themselves to rebuild the society. But what has been the background? I think we need to understand a bit of the historical background of Manipur. We have to look at from migration point of view. Different types of people migrated into Manipur, and for the benefit of our audience, I would also try to give you a picture of what Manipur looks like in terms of topography and geography. Manipur has a centrally located valley which comprises of 8 to 10% of the entire area of the state. The remaining 98 to 90% of the area is all ranges of hills surrounding the central valley. And in this valley, more or less, approximately, although it is not, exact figure has not been known because of the last census could not take place. So more or less 60% of the population, which includes not only the Meitei majority, which is considered as the majority, but also all other minority tribes in the hills have their space settling together side by side with the Meitei community. So when you say
in the valley,
it is not plain. There is a difference between plain and valley also.
Okay.
We are talking about valley. Valley is a plain area, of course, but it is on a higher altitude. So there is a difference between Assam plain and the Manipur valley. So valley is that plain which is at a higher altitude in the middle of the hills. That's valley. And so in the valley, you have almost representation of entire diversity of people in the hills and valley of Manipur. Of course, Meitei happens to the majority community. Now, Now, the remaining 40% are settled in 90 to 98% of the total area in the hills. So, you can understand the difference in density of population in the valley and the hills. The hills are very sparsely populated. So, less population has more ownership of the land in the hills, and those in the valley, particularly Meitei, do not have any right to acquire land in the hills under the given land laws that are put in place in Manipur. This is a very critical site of divide between hill and valley. And this divide came into being from the colonial period. When the British came into, and Manipur king at that time engaged with that over a period of time, and at the end, by 1891, Manipur king was defeated in what is known as Khongjom War or Anglo-Manipur War. Following that, the administration of the hill area, 90%, went into the hands of the British, and the valley area, which was then well settled as Vaishnavite Hindu community, was left to the Darbar, the king's Darbar, to the king's council. So then you see the administrative division taking place, which was otherwise not there prior to British advent of the British. Now the whole kind of a social engineering to divide the society began from that period. Add to that is the spread of Christian religion in the hill areas, among the tribal people in the hill areas, more because by that time the valley people, particularly Meitei, were well settled as Vaishnavite community. They were satisfied with whatever religious cultural traditions they had. So the king then did not want to disturb by allowing the spread of Christianity in the valley, and so he directed the Christian missionaries to go to the hills to spread the gospel. So with permission of the king, the Christianity came into being. Now you see there is another layer of division between the hills and valley. Valley being the Hindu, the cultural tradition and connected with the rest of India culturally, religiously, and the hill now Christian community all over, all surrounding, and now connected to the international global Christian community. You see the whole world now comes into divided in Manipur at a small piece of land. Now slowly and gradually these divisions, with lot of grievances that hill people have, because when Meitei people became Hindu, they also became quite structured society, hierarchy. The society became hierarchical. You have developed this sense of high and low, and untouchability kind of practices crept into it, which has really affected the hill people.
How?
Because of this stratification, the king on the top, the god in the first, then king on the top, then the Brahmin, then the warrior section, and then whoever occupied the lower rank were considered lowly, and so they were less equal to those people in the higher achievement.
Okay.
So this structure actually affected the relationship between the hill and valley. And now I'm talking about the social relationship. The social relationship got affected during the Hinduization period of the Meitei people, much before the advent of Christianity and also advent of colonial dispensation. So you see now you have three layers of divisions between the hill and valley. After this has been aggravated during the colonial period, and then later on these three layers of division accumulated into expression of political aspiration.
What are these, for the benefit of the viewers, the three layers? One is the plain and hills.
The valley.
Yeah. The valley and the hills.
Correct.
Hill. And then one is the the people who live in the valley, they are mostly Meitei. Predominantly
Hindu.
They are Meitei and they are predominantly Hindus.
Correct.
And then that is the second one.
Correct.
Is it? And the third one is?
Third one is Christianity.
Hindu
versus the religious divide.
The religious divide.
Social divide, religious divide, and then administrative divide. Legal divide. Administrative because of legal. So you have altogether you have a very open law, general law, which is applicable to any other place in the rest of India. Like any one of you and I can go to Delhi and buy a piece of land and own it, right? So that right we do not have. Meitei people do not have in the hills. And then another thing is that this is very critical to the entire conflict. That is that Meitei people find that their origin is there in the valley. Meitei as an identity, as a cultural group, as a community, think that their origin is in the valley itself, nowhere else. So you can imagine the intensity with which Meitei people are attached to the valley soil and the land.
Okay.
And you have at the same time, because of the existing law, you have no control over it. You have no right over the land, the valley area, saying that this is our land and this is protected, and if anybody wants to buy a land, they have to seek permission from us. You have no right to say that. It is absolutely open for all Indians from the rest of India to come and acquire. For any tribe who are now scheduled, listed under schedule,
So now
right,
the
can
question
come
is,
and acquire, right?
the Meitei people, they cannot buy land in the hills.
Correct.
But Kuki people, if they want
Naga
to buy
people,
land,
Kuki
Naga
people, any people from rest of India.
anybody has a right.
All citizens, all citizens,
all
Indian citizens can
of
come
India
and acquire.
can come and buy land in. They have land right. They can buy land
correct.
in.
So
in
this has been really affecting the emotions of the Meitei community, who thinks that this is our birthplace. At the same time, you have no right to control over it, own it and control over it, because you have not given any legal right over that.
Okay.
So that has resulted into this community demanding scheduled tribe status,
Okay.
with the sole objective that if you get into this list, then at least your land will be protected. So that is the basic drive why Meiteis have gone for demanding scheduled tribe. Yeah. So this is at the background.
Okay.
But this doesn't explain why Meitei have to fight, or Kukis have to fight against the Meitei, which is happening now. Now, all that I have been talking about is to do with Meitei people in the valley and the hill people. When I say hill people, we're referring to mostly the Naga in general, predominantly, and then what we consider as all Kuki, or in other words, all Kukis were known to the Meitei community as Thadaus and Khongzai.
Thadou and
people.
Khongzai.
So there are broadly three categories of people in Manipur, which are politically organized, culturally and socially organized. They are Meitei in the valley, who are Hindu-wise, religion-wise. They are Naga people in the hills, in the northern, western and the eastern side. They are Christian, they are Christianized, and they have different political aspiration.
And then who are the Kukis?
The Kuki people also, Kuki people now, see, the group of people who we know as Kuki are in the whole series of migration of the people from the hill to the valley. They are the latecomers. They are the last to come to Manipur. I'm not referring it to the old Kuki, as I said. Old Kuki were also last to come, but they got integrated into the mainstream, cultural and social mainstream of Manipur. They became very close, so they feel belong to the mainstream, and we feel belong to those all Thadaus and Kukis. But then later on, this constant migration, unnatural migration, because of the disturbance in the neighboring country, Myanmar has been oftentimes going back to military rule. Okay, you know this. So therefore, there has been a lot of internal armed conflict. Each of these indigenous group, ethnic groups in the boundary area has been always at loggerhead with the mainstream majority community in Burma. Okay, so similar to India also, most of the ethnic groups are fighting against the state. So also that side. So there has been this conflict-driven migration across the border, and this population has been moving towards Mizoram and then Manipur. And so they have been, because of the close cultural and ethnic affinities of the old Kuki and the fresh migration that are taking place, which are conflict driven, security driven, all of this, they have strong attachment among themselves because of close cultural and ethnic affinities. So therefore, you tend to give the old Kuki have always opened and welcome them as their humanitarian duty towards their own people, which is perfectly okay. If I were a Kuki, I would also do the same thing. Humanity and this affinity is something that really moves us, affects us deeply. So therefore, whatever the old Kuki has done for the new Kuki, welcoming them is perfectly all right. But then, are we doing justice to them? Is the question. So therefore, this has brought in a different dimension to the already uneasy hill valley relationship in the Manipur. Now today, over the last few decades, we are experiencing of a political conflict between the Kuki, who are seeking a permanent settlement under the Constitution of India in the form of 6th schedule, separate administration or autonomous, whatever formation is possible. Then we have the Meitei population who also have an insurgent group. They have been demanding a political goal which is outside the Constitution. All right. So, and then Nagas have always been outside the Constitution. They are working for Meiteis are working for, the armed Meitei groups are working for restoration of the lost sovereignty, that independent status, pre-merger. And Nagas have been struggling for last 60 years for the recognition of their unique history, which means they have never been part of India. So these two are problem to Indian security at the international boundary. So international relations and security.
So the Meitei militant, they want to go back, they want sovereignty.
Restoration of the
restoration of sovereignty.
Yeah.
And in Naga as well, all of us know that they are fighting for. And then the Kukis?
Kukis are seeking for a political solution, which actually means settlement, permanent settlement, where they will feel that yes, we have come to our land. This is something called we call. Or in other words, they also articulate very well under the banner called Kuki homeland. So they are seeking for a homeland which they think they consider which is owned by them legally, politically, and socially. And this seeking.
So that means this conflict has.
Correct.
One is that there is actually national dimension.
Correct.
National dimension means okay. So the Meitei militant and the Naga militant, they have a conflict with Indian state.
Correct.
And then the Kukis, they want within Indian you see constitution, they want autonomous, or they want their autonomy, or they are seeking for it. Now, so I could broadly understand the background of the conflict. Now, but then till say May 20, it started on 3rd of May, is it?
Correct.
Till 3rd of May, the situation didn't go to this. Situation was by and large normal.
Correct.
Now, what happened in after 3rd of May? Why it is division has become so intensified? Why this conflict? Why it is burning continuously? Why? Why
see, the Kuki as a now is a Kuki as a term, or a banner as a political group, politically organized community under that banner called Kuki, seeking for Kuki homeland. And then you have another banner, political banner called Naga, or Naga nationalism. And then you have organized community, very well organized and structured community. And then in between is the Meitei, who are considered majority and dominant, has been part of the state formation to the history, who is holding the centrality of what you call Manipur, and the architect of the composite cultural history of the state, which has taken into its fold all the diversity that keeps on constantly migrating, seeking space into the valley. So this has been the cultural processes, historical cultural processes, but then because of the unnatural flow of rapid migration under pressure, military under pressure in other community, this process of integration was not able to handle that, the rapid migration.
The normal process of assimilation was not able to handle
the society not able to handle it. So therefore, another thing is that whatever has been the demand, political demand of the Kuki community, as we know today, is overlapping or overstepping those areas which the Nagas claim is their ancestral domain, and also Meiteis who thinks that this is our cultural domain and our effective social territorial area. So it is on over these land that Kukis are trying to establish their homeland, and the government of India does not seem to have much problem as far as Kukis' demand for homeland is concerned, because they are very clear on that. We are not against India. We are citizens of India, and we are seeking our right to call a piece of land as ours in the form of autonomous district or 6th schedule or separate state or whatever is possible. And this is perfectly legal, political, okay, as far as Indian constitution and political processes are okay, perfectly all right. But if you look at on the other side, the Meitei armed groups demand for restoration of sovereignty, which is which is identified as insurgency, officially, is a problematic for the government of India as far as security is concerned. Now you can understand the dynamics of the conflict, why this conflict has become so violent is explained by this, insurgency on the one side, and on the other side, a group of people who are politically organized as
But
citizens of India.
but I also hear that
Correct.
the Manipur government headed by Biren Singh.
Correct.
He actually was in a way he was the cookies. They don't trust him.
Well, this is very not easy to answer because you see, a lot of changes have taken place from Manipur government, from the hands of Congress to BJP, because with the coming of BJP, what is happening is the regional issues have become important, regional issues. So BJP is a nationalized political party which has always worked with regional issues, and you have seen how the peace processes with the Nagas have also been quite progressive during the BJP period compared to the Congress period, right? So, and how the Kukis' demand for their homeland has also progressed, during the BJP time. It was never happened during Congress time. So you can see the basic difference on the nature of politics.
But then why this again? Why is this conflict? Now why this conflict?
See, this conflict is very clearly, as I said, the whatever lane territory Kukis are demanding are considered by both Nagas and Meiteis as stepping over their ancestral domain or cultural space. Like for example, I just mentioned two hills, very important hill to the Meitei. Meitei's life is not complete without going to these hills. One is called Thangjing Hills, where there is it is a sacred place even before we became Hindu, So we have to go to that hills to pay our observances once in a year, Thangjing Hill. Another hill, very important, where we actually trace our origin, is the Kobru Hill, where now Kuki armed groups have absolute control over that. So now over the last few years, every year Meitei goes there. The whole lines of them, hundreds of people climb in the hills, stay there overnight, few nights, and then come down. This is our cultural life. And so over the last few years, after the Su was signed, some of the designated camps were located in this sacred site. And then when Meiteis went to their annual pilgrimage to these hills, they were restricted. They were denied permission. So this has really hurt the sentiment, cultural.
Of the Meitei people.
Yeah.
Now the thing is that now, who is responsible for? I could understand that the background of the conflict. Now, why has it intensified so much, and who is responsible for this?
You see, like you have to look into this conflict in terms of parties who are involved in it. Now, the conflict that we see today over the last month is on the front line is Meitei and the Kuki, right? Behind the Meitei is the state government.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And behind the Kuki is the union government.
Union government.
Yes, because the Kukis had suspension of operation with the paramilitary force called Assam Rifle. So they are working with them. All right, they are working in the sense they are taking care of them. So you cannot separate this lesson because these are signed, agreed terms and other certain terms and agreement. They have come to a certain understanding to settle through series of political talks. So,
but then there is the thing is that the central government is a BJP government.
Correct.
And Biren Singh is a BJP state government.
Yeah, because Biren Singh has to respond to the sentiment of the majority people. All right, the Hinduist majority people who feel that our cultural space has been trampled upon or being snatched away to create Kuki homeland. And this sentiment is so intense and so high that these Meiteis are now prepared to get killed in the battle with the Kuki. It is that intensity because it has really hurt the cultural sensitivity of the Meitei.
Now, what is the way out?
See, the way out is dialogue, and dialogue can be done only when you have a team of neutral, professionally trained dialogue facilitators. This dialogue cannot be handled by any bureaucrat.
Now, just before that.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, who is actually, because of this Meitei Kuki conflict, who is the worst sufferer?
See, the common people are the worst sufferer. They are
The which community?
both sides.
Both sides.
Both sides. Yes.
Equally.
Yes, equally. If you really go to this relief camp now, go to Meitei relief camp, go to Kuki relief camp, see how people are suffering. Women in particular. Women in particular, young children are suffering. They have the same language of expressing their anguish and pain. All right. And then these voices are not allowed to go to the media, by the way, because that would be considered as weakness on either side. In the ongoing confrontation between Kuki. So media is controlled on both sides.
Who is controlling the media?
The conflicting parties, the leadership, the military leadership, whoever is leading on either side are controlling the media also. They're allowing those aspects, those information that goes along with their political interest, okay, and suppress those voices, diverse voices which go against them. And there are many such diverse voices both within the Meitei section, Meitei side, and also Kuki side. And they are simply suppressed. They are not allowed to be take a space.
So everything is controlled, everything is divided.
Yes,
there is a big, deep divide.
Highly militarized.
Highly militarized.
Highly militarized, highly brutal, highly volatile, and it is going on. There are hot spots, there are flash points that is happening across the hill valley adjoining area, in the foothill area. So these hotspots are constantly breaking up into violence, and none of them, not the Meitei nor the Kuki, are withdrawing. None of them are saying that we are tired, we are not going to fight. None of them are withdrawing. They are still ready to fight.
Now
to the end.
The question is now, what is the way out?
The way out is, the first thing that we have been demanding from our platform called Interfaith Forum for Peace and Harmony is that we have already submitted our memorandum to the governor saying that the state called Indian state must use all the power in its hand and with the existing troops on the ground to ensure that there is immediate ceasefire between the two. Immediate ceasefire by giving deadline and also strictly adhering it on the ground by calling out student side order. Should ensure that this killing stops because it is
so
lost
you are advocating, you are saying that okay, there should be the military should intervene.
Yeah.
There should be there should be strictly shoot at sight order.
Yeah.
And so that it could be stopped.
Correct.
Yeah.
Second part is, like the violent conflict has resulted into humanitarian crisis also. Those people who are suffering in the camps have no proper access to food and health services, and they are suffering in all respects on both sides.
And then also the schools are closed.
Yes, schools
colleges are closed.
And then the national highway, which does not belong to any of the people in Manipur, not Nagas, not the Kukis, not the Meitei, because national highway is a property of the state, right? And then security forces are provided by the state to ensure that this is secured well. There is a constant flow of materials, supplies and people on this road. This remains blocked for over 53 days.
Who have blocked this?
On the northern side, Kuki, which is Kuki concentrated majority area, Kangpokpi area, Kuki armed group has blocked it from day one. They still continue to block it strictly. They are not allowing any truck to pass from Dimapur side bringing supply to the valley. Now, in retaliation to that, Meitei people all along this national highway passing down to Chorachandpur, which is another, and the More, which is another Kuki concentrated area, they have counter-blocked the entire step.
You say that means the Kukis have blocked the roads where nothing could come to the valley.
Correct.
And the Meiteis have blocked that nothing could go to the hills.
To Chorachandpur and the More. So it is again very destructive situation. And the security forces, which numbers around 1.1 to 1.2 lakhs already, central security forces are doing nothing about it. We are asking why.
And another thing, now this thing is happening, this Manipur is in actually turmoil, it's burning. And what is the role of the central government? The Prime Minister, nothing?
You see, one point that we all need to note is that this conflict has got to do with security concerns on the boundary, international boundary area. So the central government is not a neutral party in this conflict. They are also part of the conflict and in the larger security framework. arrangement and the international relations with Myanmar, with the neighboring state. So we need to understand, analyze the conflict at that international level, also at the security concerns of the central government also, where the state or the central government is a party to this conflict. So therefore,
they are a party to the conflict.
Yes, they are.
Which side they are taking?
Well, there's a question people are asking, which side are you taking?
Yes, which side are they taking?
Yeah, and it seems to be fluctuating, sometimes this side, sometimes that side. People are confused.
Now, why the Prime Minister is silent?
Yeah, that's the question people are asking, why you are silent? Why you have allowed this killing, mutual killing
Why
to
this
continue?
killing is going on?
Why, what is going on? They have no answer.
The Indian state is a mighty state.
It's a mighty state,
Mighty
but
state.
they have no answer to these simple questions.
And you said how many forces are there? How many?
1.2 approximately, because
1.2
lakhs, because under AFASPA we had 70,000
1.2 lakhs
yeah,
security forces
Yeah.
are
there,
there,
including
in
police
Manipur.
force.
Including police
Police
force.
force.
And still
Still,
the violence is continuing.
they are
This
not
is
able
the-
to open the national highway, which is
They are
vital.
not able to open the national highway.
Which is vital for the life of all the citizens in this state, and
Is
then
it-
they
is
are
it-
unable
is it-
to.
Is it not a great? Is it not a failure on the part of the
It
state?
is certainly a serious issue.
Is it not a serious issue?
I wouldn't call it a fail, but they must come. They must respond to the constitutional
No, no,
obligation.
the thing is that, and do you think that this Biren Singh government
Yeah.
now this thing is going on, and then this how come a government can actually stay? Why there is no president's rule? What is happening?
Well, see, these are the questions that I have no answer, but the central government or the party which is ruling has to answer this question. People are
But
asking this question.
these are very valid questions.
Because Biren Singh or the CM at this moment is also part of the conflict, part of the problem, right?
He's part of the problem.
Part of the all are
He
part
is-
of the problem.
He is taking the side of the.
That's true. So see, like from central government to the state government and the cookie and all the people are part of the problem. None of them are part of the solution till today.
You say that central government is the part of the problem.
Yes.
The state government is the part of,
Part
the,
of the
problem.
problem.
Of course, the people who are fighting, they are the part of the
Part of the
problem. That's
problem.
natural. That's
Yeah.
natural.
They
But
are,
then the state government
Yes.
and the central government,
Yes.
they should actually try to solve the problem. They
Yeah.
should take they should be on the solution side.
correct. They should be on the sales, but they have not taken any step towards that. They took the state after the Home Minister, Honorable Home Minister visited Manipur from 27 to 23 days. He came up with a clear list of things to do to turn the situation from war to peace processes, peaceful directions, in which some of the important decisions were made was to establish a judicial inquiry committee, and then to establish probe into all these crises and the conflict situation, and also some CBI cases to probe certain incidents, and the most important was constitution of a peace committee. Peace committee was formed, but the next day it simply failed to take off.
The peace community failed. It didn't take off.
But the question is, was it designed to fail, or did they actually mean
Okay.
to? Yeah.
So you mean to say that okay, it is actually they have not
Yeah.
attended to the basics.
Now I would say my final appeal is if government both at the center and state level are really caught into the conflict situation, are
Now,
unable to do anything, kindly be open and frank to ask the people their ideas how to get out of it.
Get
Yeah.
out of it.
And then civil
That means
society.
you are saying that okay, the government, the central state, both the governments are part of the problem.
Correct.
And they don't have any clue. They do not know what to do.
At least
and
we don't
how.
see that. We don't see that.
But how
happening.
can they actually, when they are the part of the problem, when they are the party to
Right.
the violence,
Correct.
how can we expect them to solve it? Now, what is the way out? We don't have much time. We have maybe 2-3 minutes.
Right.
Now, what would you say?
See, they have to reconstitute the peace committee in the first place. As I said, the first thing is use all the power in your hand. The state has all the power in their hand to stop the war, call ceasefire, and effectively implement it on the ground. Second, open the national highway so that the humanitarian crisis can be addressed immediately, and then reconstitute the peace building, and they allow, and then as I said, give a space to professional group of facilitator, dialogue facilitator to do their job.
Yeah.
And this is something that a bureaucrat cannot handle, political leaders cannot handle. All right. This is a specialized field of work which only well-trained, professionally trained people can handle. So in India, the government of union government has to provide a space, you know, and
So that
identify
means,
such person.
that means what you are saying, that okay, now if I have to actually wrap up the discussion,
Correct, yeah.
first thing you are saying that okay, immediately the mighty Indian state has to come heavily on the conflicting, actually on the militants, on the conflicting
Stop the
groups
violence
to
immediately.
stop the violence.
Correct.
Disarm and stop the violence. Stop
Yeah.
it.
Simply stop it.
Number one. Number two, open the
National highways.
National highways.
And they have all the power to do it.
Open the national highways. Let the national highways function.
Yes,
so
let-
that humanitarian assistance reach to the people.
Yeah, that's very important
which
because
is
people
very urgently needed.
needed because
Needed.
that's very
Third,
important. Yeah.
Third thing you are saying that the government, they do not know, because they are a party,
Party.
and they do not know how to handle it.
People
So
don't
they have-
trust them.
They trust it. So they have to trust the
Constitute
people.
a
They have to
trusted-
reconstitute the peace committee, and they have to actually bring in people who are trustworthy,
Trusted. That's very
trustworthy
important. Correct.
in among the people,
Yes.
and from both the communities.
Yes, and also
And
from the rest of India.
From rest
neutral
of India,
people. That's
neutral
very
people,
important.
neutral people
To facilitate the process.
To facilitate the process.
Yeah.
I think with this suggestion, with these suggestions, we'll wrap up the discussion.
Yeah.
And thank you very much for actually explaining us the various complexities of the situation, conflict situation.
Right.
And I think we have got some ideas, some broad ideas, outlines about the ongoing conflicts.
Correct.
And we have also you have also very rightly suggested, so what we need to do to come out of this situation.
Correct. Yeah.
And how we can actually go for peace. So thank you very much, Devin, for
Thank you so
sparing your time. And I hope next time also, you will, because this conflict is going on, maybe we'll have to again come back to you
Yeah,
and
sure.
discuss this situation. Thank you very
Thanks
much
so
once
much.
again.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.